I'm Anil Mall, here for the CSE hashtag finance podcast here on the West Coast. It is April the 7th. I am having a quick chat with Trevor Doerksen, who is the CEO and president of ePlay Digital. Trevor, last time I talked to you, we were in person. Time before in California in February. I met with you in person. A little bit of a change in scenery here. Now we're talking online. So thank you very much for joining us and giving the CSE your time to talk about ePlay Digital. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. Happy to be with hashtag finance.
No, we're happy to have you. So before we kick into gear and start talking about the company and what you guys have been up to during this time, let's maybe just have a little catch up since last time. So obviously with the self-quarantine and isolation, everybody's been working from home over the last month for us anyways. We were at the PDAC conference, and when we got back, we were all told to work from home. Luckily, we are still considered an essential service, so we still are working and at it from home, but a little bit of a change in pace now, doing meetings and calls virtually, as well as our podcasts and lives and things like that. So how about on your end? Why don't I let you talk a little bit about what's been keeping you and your team busy?
What a journey. Just the last month and the month before that, of course, as things started to ramp up, and it's just like every day, maybe every couple of hours, and every day there seems like I remember just everything. Mostly March, but every day in March there was something just incredible going on. So it's an amazing time, to go through, to persevere through. There are serious issues of leadership, of healthcare, of public versus private, all sorts of fantastically important issues that the world is going through. And I fled LA. March 9th, I think. Yes, I have March 9th. And it was just the weirdest circumstance. So the reason I fled LA is because every movie you see where the quarantine hits, or the earthquake, or the tsunami, or or Godzilla, if from North America, it's always New York or LA. So like, I don't want to be in either of those two places.
Yeah, there's been too many movies since childhood that
so I'm definitely conditioned to get out of Los Angeles early. So, but what was really weird is so I ran my first marathon on the 8th. That's the Sunday.
Yeah, I've seen you posting about it, the Personal Peak Backyard Quarantine Marathon.
Oh, that was just this weekend. This is 1 month ago, March 8th. Yeah, March 8th, first marathon in Los Angeles, surrounded by 27,000 people and volunteers, packed together in a corral. The same weekend, some dentists ended up dying at a conference, in Vancouver. I'm in Los Angeles at kind of a conference, because when you pick up your bib, it's a conference, and around all the runners and the volunteers and the water and the food and all that stuff you're grabbing over the 4 hours and plus because you're queuing up, and then the ending and stuff. And just amazing that a massive amount of sickness of COVID-19 didn't come out of the marathon itself, just because there's so many people gathered there on that Saturday, on that Sunday. Just lucky. At the same time, that same weekend on Monday, I go to the America's Got Talent set, and somebody leaves sick. But we don't hear about that until we look at the food at craft services. We're just kind of looking over the food in between episodes or auditions. I'm with Howie Mandel. I'm with others that I've been working with, and I look at the food, and people are contemplating whether to grab it. And the sense was no. So somehow we're around 27,000 people. I'm grabbing orange peels, like slices of orange and banana, shuffling as I'm running by. I think fast. It turns out it's not that fast. But anyway, I'm running by, grabbing water from people. The very next day, there's no way we're grabbing food from that buffet. And we didn't. But by the end of that day, we hear Howie Mandel's co-judge sits right next to him on the panel. Heidi Klum is sick, and the rumors started spreading fast, and it just hit that week. And so was it Thursday that week that Robbie Gomer, the NBA player, and then Tom Hanks, the actor, it all kind of hit that week of March 9th. So since then, we just professionally, personally, we've been getting the family. My wife was in Florida, I was in LA, my daughter was in Montreal, back into Calgary. Sophie was at school, studying in basically a petri dish, a dorm room, like a dorm, right? She's in a petri dish at McGill, shared bathroom, shared food. So they're making their announcements. We're getting everybody back, and everybody's home and safe. I had a bit of a cold coming back, so it was a little bit of a scare, but it was just a cold, I think. And then professionally, you had to think about what we're going to do. Would you hibernate? Were you just like, let's shut her down?
Yeah.
And close her down? The CSE couldn't. That's the essential service, right? You guys had no choice, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we had a choice. We have a game called Big Shot. It's our flagship product.
That's right.
It encourages people to walk outside. Right this same week or within a few days, everybody in California was encouraged not to walk outside. Well, that game's so then Gomer comes out, NBA player comes out, says he's got coronavirus, and what is Big Shot all about? Live NBA games, NBA player. What are we doing? Do we even have a business? Like, it doesn't make any sense, does it? So luckily, I came out of that funk. It was kind of one bad evening, and I woke up the next morning and I put our quarantine compatible plan together. And around the same time, Howie Mandel, who I've been working with since September, on a game about social distancing, on a game about his germophobia. He's
been big on a big germaphobe since ever since he's been on TV, and he's always been talking about it.
It's true. I guess his whole life. I've spent enough time with him. He wears a hoodie a lot, so this is a good tip for people. He wears a hoodie. I don't know if it works, but it works for if your mind is going, oh my God, I can't get through a day. I don't know if it's clinically effective, especially all the holes in this one. But opens all the doors.
Uses the hoodie to do that.
The hoodie's pretty useful. Good tip. This one is not good. Too many holes. So we've been working on a game, a really cool and important game. Very much like Big Shot, a game where Howie wanted people to walk outside. He wanted to see people, just like with Pokemon Go. And we were working with another sports league doing the same thing. And how could we do that? So we had to solve one problem with our game mechanic, the walk outside game mechanic. But we also had to decide, whether we had enough to do as a team to focus on this. And then just a few weekends ago, Howie Mandel phones and he says, Trevor, we have to do something. Can we get a game out? And I said, well, the flagship game we're building is, we got a brand new game mechanic we got to come up with. It's not ready. But inside of that game, and I'll explain a little bit. So when you're playing some games, maybe some precious items you have to compete for. Other items you just tap on and you get. So in this flagship game we've been building since September, there's some coins that are more precious than others. And to acquire those coins, you have to play a game.
Yeah.
And we've been putting these little mini games so that you can compete against a computer, or against another person, against your friends, to acquire the precious coin. So in the phone call with Howie a couple weekends ago, I said, well, why don't we spin out those mini games? We'll put challenges together online, and we'll do something. I don't know what that is. He's, and he says, can we raise money for, can we get corporates involved? Can we get other people? Can we get donations? And can we do this? And I just said yes. I had no idea if we could or not. I just said yes. And
it's the best answer, but you guys have some pretty big names that have decided to partner with you. I think Amazon's one of them. Direct Relief, I think you mentioned that in the press that's been out, but I'll let you talk about that as well.
Yeah, well, so I agreed that we were going to do something I didn't know how to do. Releasing a game wasn't a problem. I know how to do that. Releasing it even in a hurry isn't a problem. We've developed games for ESPN and Sony Pictures and Time Warner Cable. So those kinds of companies, when the TV show comes on at 9 o'clock, the game better be ready. right? So we know about that kind of pressure. But Break Out the Masks, the charity that we came up with for this moment, for this COVID-19 moment, that raises money for healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, and all the other staff that from our nursing homes and our community health centers, and of course other frontline workers that need this personal protective equipment, an abbreviation I didn't think I'd need to know in my lifetime. I shouldn't have to know it, but these are peculiar and wicked times. And so we need masks, we need gowns, we need gloves, probably those footy things too. I don't know what they need. I just know they need the stuff that I hear about on social media. So we went to work to go make that happen using gaming, using the idea of we have to stay home anyway. Let's get people doing stuff while they're at home, playing games from the mind of Howie Mandel.
And also on another point, at times like this, it's really tough to go out and ask people for physical cash donations, while they're busy at home with their own families trying to figure out what's going to happen from day to day. So in your approach where, they're already at home, they've got screens and computers, they're used to playing these games, it's not really money coming out of their pockets, but they're still able to contribute.
Hey, we're seeing both actually. So individual donors are coming in. We've seen them from across Canada, from the US. I don't think we have any outside of North America yet. Just seeing the donations come in. I am not paying too much attention to the details on those things, but I am seeing Canada and the US for sure. So people are donating at a time where it's really tough to decide. Like I said, I just going back in the story, I was going to lay everybody off. Maybe everybody's going to be unemployed. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was thinking of running across the country or something. What would I do if my team wasn't working and doing stuff? So we came up with this quarantine compatible plan. We came up with a new game mechanic for Big Shot. We came up with a new game mechanic for the flagship game we're building for Howie Mandel. We can talk about it. We came up with a plan to just make our lives, my personal life and my professional life, bearable, exciting, all of those things combined. And so individual donors are giving, and so the corporations are they're coming in. We've only announced one-ish so far. We actually haven't officially announced that, but it's on the website. Their announcement is coming soon. And Howie announced it last week during his interview on Dr. Oz.
That's right.
Amazon Web Services, and they're helping pay basically, by the download. So play the game, use the hashtag Outbreak 100 if you score above 100 points. I've done it once, and if too many people do it, we make the game. We'll just make it harder. And we got more challenges coming, more games coming, because that game we're building, the big game we started in September, has a number of different mini games in it that we're spinning out and using to create challenges and raise money for PPE for those that need it.
Now, basically, it's a Candy Crush with viruses and bacteria is what you described it as. And so you mentioned that every time you get up to 100 points, you use the hashtag, post it on social media, and then a donation is made to, is it a particular charity, or are you working with a number of different groups?
We're flexible on that, but who we've started with, and hopefully we'll stick all the way through, and it'll really depend on kind of what the community needs are and how that changes, is an organization called Direct Relief. They manufacture their own N95 masks. So they're supplying those around the world, really. And it probably internationally is probably the right way to say it, because around the world sounds like every country in the world. They're supplying that to where there's need and where there's requests. And they said to me, hey, listen, we're two Canadian guys on a podcast talking. What they said to me is they've gotten 2 requests from Canada so far. They generally get 0. So they thought that was peculiar, just that we live in a time where that the public health system that usually makes no demands on direct relief, or no requests on direct relief, is reaching out. So it is a time of need. It's important. All we have to do is watch the news to see it. And if you watch the news too long, you have to come up with, I have to do something. So luckily we're doing something, and we're dragging more and more corporates in to help. We've got a few more to announce, and we're happy as soon as we get their donations, we'll make sure that we announce them.
Well, we're all looking forward to it. I myself have downloaded the game and haven't had a chance to get to 100 points yet, but I would imagine that over the next month or the time we're all working from home, there's going to be an opportunity to hopefully help with that. Now, you guys have been getting a lot of media attention in the last week or so as well. You want to maybe talk about some of the platforms that you guys have gone on to promote and talk about this initiative and game?
Yeah, so we're talking to a couple other media outlets as well. But People Magazine did an exclusive on Friday. Dr. Oz did an interview with Howie Mandel on Friday, or on Thursday, that aired Friday, and more to come. So Howie, of course, has a great voice. He's kind of a perfect spokesman for this moment. When I ask him, or when I hear other people ask him about how you doing, the self-isolation, he's like, I would prefer to self-isolate. He's not unhappy. They're getting on with work at America's Got Talent. Heidi Klum did not have coronavirus. And he's doing multiple charities, one of which ePlay is deeply involved with and partnered on. And so we're just thrilled to have him as a partner. We were sharing office space. Sharing office is not the right way to put it. Howie invited me to take up an office in his studio in Los Angeles, and we've put in a 360. And you've visited these before, and I'll remember we have 300
right. That was
volumetric video.
8i facility that I visited you.
That's right. Yeah. So we've put up another facility with a company that we haven't announced yet, but we will soon. That does this volumetric video, and they. We set up there for, I think, since January. And Howie is, he's pretty popular on TikTok. He's got this studio space. I've been sitting in the space, and just every day is probably an exaggeration. Feels like every day. Some TikTok star or some, other famous celebrity will come by and visit the volumetric video studio, visit the studio, sit around and talk about great ideas. Once in a while, I get to be part of those conversations, and it's very, very fun to build on all of their expertise, because they understand their audience really well, which is us, right? And my mom and my mother-in-law and my daughter, they're different audiences. They understand us well, because it's just part of their tradecraft. If you're a comedian, if you're an entertainer, if you engage with audiences, especially massive audiences.
I always say they know how to read their audience. They know how to read people, and almost like the way a DJ is in a crowd. You've got to work with the people that are around and know what their buttons are and what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. No. So it's really fun to try and take their expertise with understanding their audience of tastemaking even. And pushing that out, into the world, and it's the whole germophobia thing is, maybe it's risky. Maybe people think you can have too much fun, and of course you can, and of course you can take the wrong step. But if your message is delivered by somebody like Howie Mandel, I'm probably a very imperfect messenger. Howie is a great messenger
Well, maybe we can get him on a #finance podcast one day, or soon enough to talk a little bit more about his products, his career, and just what he's up to these days, working with you guys at ePlay. I want to actually push it a little bit further and talk, maybe now that things have kind of pivoted a little bit, and with the climate that we're all in, what's the shareholder sentiment like at the company? Like, I would imagine you're probably fielding calls all day long from these guys who want to know what's happening. especially right now.
It's very good. I mean, I've also been called shameless and a loser because we put out this game that had viral droplets, in March 2020 during a pandemic. So I heard that too, but that's the minority sentiment by a long shot. Everybody's thrilled with what we're doing. I think they understand, don't always know, because games and mobile games, we don't always understand. We think it's there's some new magic way to make money. There really isn't. You make money the same old ways, advertising. There's esports revenue where we do cash prizes and people pay to compete for cash prizes. That's our esports revenue. And there's people pay for apparel. They pay for hoodies and sneakers and t-shirts. They're not physical, they're digital, and they go on your digital avatar or your hologram or Howie's hologram in the game or an NBA player's 3D avatar in the game. But those skins, advertising, esports revenue, fairly standard. So I think when people understand that there's 3 ways to make money, every game you release has that potential, and the real first job is get downloads.
Yeah.
And so if ePlay is doing something, if Trevor's scene is doing something that's working with Big Shot Robert Ory, the 7-time NBA champion for the Big Shot game, Lindsay McCormick, the ESPN sports broadcaster, or Howie Mandel, the producer and comedian, those things help bring the download. It's not the only thing you need to do, but they're kind of an initial starting point. They give you an unfair marketing advantage, which I hope everybody understands what that means. You can't make money till you get a download. Yeah. And you actually can't make money till you get like 1,000 downloads. And then you can't really make more than a few pennies until you get 10,000. And then you can't make much money until you get 100,000 downloads. And then the math is simple from there. And you just, it's just like you keep doing things, you keep, grinding that wheel and making sure people are engaged with what you're doing and have an opportunity to view ads, buy skins, or play esports cash prizes games.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 100% of the proceeds from this game goes towards doctors, nurses, all the frontline workers to be able to buy that PPE and life-saving equipment, right?
Yes, 100%. And I don't want to sound crass or cruel here when I say it, but that's fine. Because we started with 0 downloads. From an ePlay point of view, the revenue isn't going to happen at 0 downloads. The revenue isn't going to happen at 1,000 downloads. It's not going to happen at 10,000 downloads. And so if we can get a corporate to come in and help sponsor these things where we wouldn't have been able to otherwise, and we get a bunch of downloads and we come out the other end of this this pandemic, we come out where we're allowed to go outside again, we're allowed to go to work again, we're still playing mobile games. Now it's on subways, hopefully with a vaccine. Now it's in our spare time, we're on the side of the soccer field as our kids hopefully go back and play soccer sometime. I don't know when that will be.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that.
None of us do. But when we do that, we'll have a number of downloads we couldn't have got as from an ROI point of view in any other way. And so we'll turn advertising on, we'll turn skins on, and we'll turn esports cash prizes on at the right moment.
I know it's still early days, but do you want to maybe comment on how many downloads you guys are getting, or?
It went great. The first day was really, really good. And I'm about 2 days behind on the data. So I think all I have is the first day of data because I didn't look at it this morning.
Well, it's still fairly new, so.
Yeah, it came out Friday.
It was
fantastic. And actually, it was really interesting. I'll have to say this: the website, so howiesgames.com, is where you can find out about the charity, where you can donate to the charity, where you can see the corporate partners we've added so far. We can learn about the challenge, the first challenge, the Outbreak 100, and how to use the hashtags, break through the mask hashtags and all this stuff, and learn about Howie's and ePlay's connection. And then, of course, you go to the app stores to download either the Android or the iOS mobile apps. Yeah. website had almost the exact same number of visits as we had downloads of the app. So I've never been in a situation where we've had, you know, let's call it 98% conversion. Usually you would say, okay, if we get a website visitor, it filters down, oh, maybe 10% is a good number, 10% we'd be thrilled by, 1% is probably the real number, and it was, I think it was about 86%. I was just shocked, and so that was effective. That's probably the interview on Dr. Oz. You'd have to guess, like people are going straight to the app, not to the website. But we had lots of website traffic, lots of donations. It got off to a great start, and we'll just keep pushing it until we don't have to, and we'll be happy not to raise money for PPE when we don't have to.
When we don't have to, no, of course. This is great to talk to you and find out, you know, directly from the source on, you know, how you guys came up with this concept, built it, found some of these great partners that can help get that story out there, and eventually, you know, of course, doing the deed of raising money for the frontline workers that are going through this, just like all of us. But, you know, especially at this time where everybody has sort of been affected by what's going on in the world. I think you guys are doing an awesome job. Now, Big Shot was the main focus at when we last spoke. I would imagine a lot of your bandwidth now is going into this new game. What's happening with Big Shot, especially now that there's no basketball games and stuff to kind of, or even the season to wrap that around?
Yeah, so like some people are telling me, well, you know, NBA fans are, you know, desperate. They need something. Like I don't believe that. I don't believe that anybody other than NBA can lift the NBA in the off season, right? And they don't even try. I mean, they have the G League in Las Vegas. They do a couple of things, but they don't try to lift the NBA in the off season. The players go out. They do their own thing. The players, man, they're getting some time off for the first time ever. But so it's really hard to say, let's lift an entire league, you know, from Big Shot's platform or from ePlay's platform and make that relevant to fans. So I think the quarantine compatible version of Big Shot exists. We're adding new challenges into that, new mini games into that. We're taking that walk outside mechanic, and actually, I love it. I wish we'd thought of this before. I've been playing the game, and I've been playing the other game with Howie in it with this new walk mechanic. So it's got an auto walk mechanic. You don't have to leave your couch. I don't like that idea. I like going out and walking, but anyway, you don't have to leave your couch. It works great. We've got different speeds, and so I can walk from here to Vancouver like 8 times speed. I'm running on the screen. I'm running. I'm going past all the mountain ranges and the towns. Well, I miss most of the towns, to be honest. It's just walking through the mountains. I see some lakes. I walk all the way to Vancouver, walk right into the ocean. I see coins all the way. I see NBA players all the way. I can engage with. I can pause it. I can slow it down. I can go backwards, and I can say, well, I want to apparate. I want to apparate to the Santa Monica Pier. Actually, I really do want to apparate to the Santa Monica Pier. And I can explore the Eiffel Tower. I can explore anywhere in the world I decide to go. The old version, the old game mechanic was exactly like Pokemon Go. If you wanted to go somewhere, you put some shoes on and you went outside and you went somewhere. And that's the environment you saw. That was the only environment you saw other than what we augmented. Both Pokemon and Big Shot augmented for the user on their screen. So now we can go anywhere in the world. We haven't released this yet, but this is the game mechanic that we've been testing, building for one of the other Howie Mandel games, and it's really, really fun. It's fantastic. It's lazy, but we have to stay at home. Even me, I'll give you a sense of this. I ran that marathon in the 8th, and I don't want to stay at home. I travel a great deal. It's wonderful. I really is. Our family's having a great time. I think everybody's had this universal story that I've talked to, that they really enjoy their family right now. They're playing board games and cards and doing the kinds of things that we wouldn't have been doing. Because we would have been in 3 different cities, probably, almost for sure. So even jogging now. So I like to do at least 10K a day. If somebody goes check my Strava, they'll call me a liar. So that's probably true. It is. Well, it averages out. So I did 40K in this quarantine backyard ultra marathon. So 40K is not an ultra marathon, as I understand it. It's not even a marathon. And I didn't make it to the 42 point whatever K is a marathon. I didn't make it to whatever you call an ultra marathon. I started Saturday morning at 7 a.m. I quit, by noon, I think. I was done. It was cold.
By noon, you said.
This Calgary was so close, minus 13. I'd run 5 hours. I was done. I should have kept going, but
and so where would you run? Like, is it just you're just running?
Some people did. They took it really. They didn't leave their home, so they ran on their treadmill. And that's very good. I don't have a treadmill, so I didn't have that choice. We're not on a lockdown here in Calgary where I can't go out, but of course you need to find a place. 7 a.m. is not hard on a really cold day to find a place to physically distance from the dog walkers and the other walkers. All these walkers all of a sudden. I'm running. There's no walker. There's a lot of walkers now.
Everybody just wants some fresh air.
There's a lot. So, okay, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 starts getting, I'm running with a few more obstacles. I'm having to be a little more careful. So now instead of running long distances out, I run a loop to stay close to home. I think the principle is if I go 10K out and 10K back on a long run, I'm exposing more people than just my neighbors. I don't know the real logic, but they're saying stay close to home. And so familiar places, people, where you can jut off the pathway if you need to. So I did this. I did six loops of this of my neighborhood, and all my runs, even this morning, I haven't gone beyond that loop because I'm self-isolating kind of.
Well, you're definitely doing it the right way by keeping active and keeping not only your body but your mind active as well.
Yeah. If you're a runner, you know that you got to run for the mind.
I'm going to be truthful. I can't say the same for myself. I've been trying to get as much exercise as I can, but
are you doing the videos on, like, you're watching all the Instagram models, teaching you how to work out at home?
I do not watch that. I don't have time for it, so I haven't been keeping up with that. I have been listening to a lot of our podcasts, and at this time, what we've been doing is actually just reaching out to all of our issuing companies by ways of a phone call. Just how are you? How's your family doing? How are things? Is there anything we can do to help? So what I've found is that our issuers are really receptive to that, just getting a phone call at times like this. A lot of them probably just want to even just chat because we're all craving that contact right now with your peers.
True.
So it's been a lot of that. Trevor, I know you mentioned where people can find the game or find more information on the charities you're working with. You did say it was howiesgames.com.
Yeah, 2 S's, one at the end of Howie's and the other at the end of Games. howiesgames.com, and there's links from ePlay Digital as well.
Trevor, I'm looking forward to when we can talk more again. I know we'll be doing an Instagram live tomorrow and chatting there, talking to some of the audience members as well and answering questions that they might have. But I want to end this podcast off with talking to you about the industry that you're focused on. So obviously you're well immersed in augmented reality, esports, virtual reality, that sort of space. Maybe you want to talk to us about how the industry has evolved, not only in a year's time since we last spoke, but also during this time where a lot of people are indoors, and I would imagine are spending a lot of time playing these games.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So we definitely focus on the augmented reality space, and you've been to the studio that we shared in Playa Vista. We've got the new one up in Van Nuys. Those are both shut down for different reasons, actually. So you really can't produce any holograms, any volumetric video right now because the studios are shut down. So it's like sports is dead. Honestly, if you say I'm going to be quarantine compatible, you may as well say sports is dead. I don't know when it's not dead, but it's dead right now. And AR production, TV production, movie production, there's a long list of stuff that isn't working. right now, and won't for perhaps a little while, hopefully not a long while. So I'm trying to kind of just like stay laser focused on what we can do right now. What is quarantine compatible? I hope all the issuers at CSE are thinking the exact same way. Just what is quarantine compatible? Maybe some are being a little more forward looking and saying, how are we going to come out of this and find like a seam or a boom or get back to normal or whatever that is. I hope they're looking for a seam. It's just kind of to accelerate. I'm not there yet. I am like this on, we're stuck in this for a couple of months. Let's just stay focused. So we are introducing, luckily we shot a lot of stuff with Howie over the last couple of months, and we'll be introducing that into successive games. And so the idea is that each of the games we come out with at Howie's Games is going to be harder and harder to find Howie. Right now it's really easy. He's in this little corner and he makes fun of you for getting a viral droplet, in the wrong place and not matching 3 colors and grousing out and that sort of thing. So he's really easy to find. He's going to be hard to find. And later, the next game, he won't be super hard to find. Then the game after that, he'll be a little harder to find. So we've got a whole plan, which is, these are all quarantine compatible apps. They're all things we can do right now. And they have nothing to do with sports and nothing to do with production that we can't do on our computers in this way. We even we had to shoot, so we didn't finish all the scenes for the game we were working on since September. And I had my daughter sitting right here. I was, right here, and Howie was where you were, and we were directing him over FaceTime to shoot. We did about 60 scenes a couple of weeks ago so that we could take the audio from that, animate the scenes, and introduce them into these future games that we'll release, both ePlay and Howie's Games. And so we've taken production that way. Some of that video you'll see, but it's kind of rough, right? Everybody knows watching TV today isn't like it was. So we're not going to expose people to 60 scenes of FaceTime video for the game. We've got a good plan around that. With 3D character animation. And well, you'll meet Howie's 3D character in the next game that we'll announce soon.
Well, too bad he wasn't able to join us because on another note, I kind of wanted to talk to him about Bobby's World.
Oh, you're a Bobby's World fan. That's good.
Well, we grew up around that time, right? So that was like the first introduction to Howie Mandel.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of Bobby's World fan. I've run into them a lot.
It's a great show.
It's a great show. A lot men too. Men love Bobby's World for some reason. I guess it was a little boy. Bobby was a little boy, right? Well, yeah, you will see. Big wheel. You will see. What can Howie owns the rights to Bobby's World, and not many people own the rights to intellectual property like that. It usually ends up somewhere else, right? And so I learned. We've been having some good conversations. You'll see Bobby soon. I'm not going to tell you.
I look forward to it, Trevor. It's always great talking to you and finding out what the team and yourself are up to, working on these games. And I encourage anyone that has interest in finding out more to go to howiesgames.com, find out more. I know the games and apps are available on both the Apple Store as well as the Google Play Store, so you can check those out. And again, for our audience, if you like the content we're providing and the guys we're talking to, feel free and follow us on any of our social media channels or our CSE YouTube channel, which is CSE TV. And again, we encourage anyone with questions to reach out or comment on any of our videos. Again, thank you very much for your time, Trevor. Hopefully you and your family have a great Easter long weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe, and till the next time.
Thank you. It was really fun. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you, Trevor. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Nice.